Let's talk about house sizes. So I grew up in a fairly large home in the United States. I was very fortunate in that sense. I grew up in a big house. We had a pool. We were very, very fortunate in that sense. But one of the things that's really interesting is I actually adjusted really well to the UK and living in a smaller space. In fact, my wife won't mind me saying this, I actually adjusted better than my British wife did to when we moved into our first flat. Our first flat here in the UK was very small, and I adjusted much better than my wife did. It's actually quite surprising. I don't know what it is that makes some people just adjust better than others, but I really didn't mind living in the small space, and I just did my best to make the best of it. But I do imagine that there must be many Americans that really struggle with the size of British homes, British flats. It must be in a way similar to when you go to Japan, you know, they've got some really tiny homes. But yeah, American homes are very large, and I can testify to that. That's what I grew up in. A lot of people I knew lived in large homes. Even the small homes in the United States are very large. And it's probably actually one of the things that I do like about the US is I actually do like the way the homes are. I don't know how else to say it. But at the same time, I think the one downside to being in a large home is there can be a lot of wasted space and a lot of things to clean. And I think sometimes when you're in a smaller home, you can make it more homey and you have to be a little bit more creative. So I think that there's pros and cons to both. But either way, I didn't have a huge problem with adjusting to the smaller homes in the UK like many other Americans have.